It's time for Around the Ozarks Wake Up Weather. Here's your host, Abby Dyer.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to your Monday. Thanks for starting your day with Around the Ozarks Wake Up Weather. I am meteorologist Abby Dyer, and I'm happy to be with you this morning. I hope everybody had a great weekend. It was a hot one, wasn't it? I'm tired of being hot, but that's bad news for me because I just have more heat, more humidity in this extended forecast, and we have excessive heat warnings for so much of the Ozarks, really for most of the work week forecast. This is hotter than it normally is for late in the summer, back to school time. We're not normally suffering with these heat index values that are easily in the triple digits, but that's what we've got coming our way the next few days. The heat's not really going to back off for us much. Excessive heat warnings are still in the forecast, and I think we're going to hold on to those through about Thursday of this week. High heat, high humidity. In fact, over the weekend, one of the headlines across the country was that the hottest temperature in the country was uncomfortably close to us here in the Ozarks. In fact, it was in Kansas over the weekend. Heat index value of 113. Those numbers pretty common across the Midwest over the weekend. We're all under that big heat dome with the summer-like air trapped underneath. And unfortunately, the pattern is just not going to break. It makes for something that we call the ring of fire. It means that all around the ridge of high pressure, that's where you see the heavy rains. Of course, we've been talking about Hillary off of the southwest, bringing all the heavy rain, landing as a hurricane. In fact, made landfall yesterday in Mexico. The storm rapidly weakening as it moves north to impact the United States, but Hillary is on that side. We've got another storm moving into the Gulf, and we're here in the middle, trapped underneath this big ridge of high pressure, and that's going to keep our weather pattern quiet and really hot and humid as we head through the rest of the work week forecast. Another headline for you is that excessive heat warnings are out, not just for today for all of the Ozarks, but these last through Thursday. I mean, this is not heat to mess around with. We always want to make sure we're saying that everybody needs to take breaks in the air conditioning, avoid the peak heating of the afternoon if you can between noon and 4. But this is really serious. And one of the reasons is that our overnight low temperatures never cool off much. So we don't even get relief in the overnight hours this week. In fact, lows tonight only falling back to about 74 degrees, and then afternoon highs easily making their way into that triple digit territory. Heat index value near 115, not just for today, but also Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Heat exhaustion, heat stroke, and extreme dehydration happening in this type of weather. Don't be one of those headlines, one of those statistics. Make sure you're taking care of yourself and really taking this heat very seriously as we head into the next few days. No rain is in my extended forecast, and no big change is in my extended forecast either. When I look at some of the long range charts, what we could use is a cold front, a low pressure system, something that would bring us rain. But because of this setup and the big ridge of high pressure, I don't have any rainfall coming our way for the next week in the Ozarks. I don't even have a whole lot in the way of cloud cover. We'll get some high thin clouds from time to time, but if you're, hoping for some shade, you're going to have to find a tree because it is just not going to come in the form of cloud cover. We are pretty much smack dab in the center of the heat dome, and that pattern is not going to break. Prolonged heat can result in increased impacts, so excessive heat especially dangerous for vulnerable populations. Check on your elderly neighbors. Make sure you're not letting young kids out for too long. Never, of course, leave kids or pets in the car. In fact, it's really too hot to even walk the dogs. Sidewalk pavement, incredibly hot. So let's take care of each other. Make sure we're checking on everybody that lives nearby because this is not something to mess around with. How about 100 degrees for the afternoon high temperature today? That's the forecast for the Ozarks. No rain in sight, not even much in the way of cloud cover. I've got a west breeze in the forecast at about 5 to 15 miles an hour. So at least there's at least some sort of breeze. Nothing but sunshine in the extended outlook, though. We've got numbers approaching the century mark all the way through the end of the work week forecast. And then I think we can hope for some relief by the weekend. Cold front finally pushes through here. The ridge backs off a little bit. By Saturday and Sunday, we should see those high temperatures drop back down closer to 90 degrees. Really, though, weather's just quiet, hot, and humid here in the middle part of the country. All around the country, it's pretty active. In fact, of course, we've heard about some of those flooding headlines that's expected to happen in Southern California, portions of Nevada, and Arizona today. They are looking at yearly rainfall totals in a matter of a couple of hours in a few locations. So, flooding going to be on the radar today for the southwestern portion of the country. Oppressive heat lingers for us and for much of the middle part of the country. And then I'm watching the Gulf of Mexico. I told you last week the tropics were pretty quiet, and then they turned right around. Over the weekend, we started to see a lot of activity. National Hurricane Center is really monitoring this area of low pressure out in the Gulf. It could become a tropical storm. Even if it doesn't, I think it's going to bring some really heavy rain to South Texas. So that's good news in terms of rainfall. They need it, but you always also hear about some flooding headlines, especially for the Houston area, much of South Texas looking at some rain. That's going to be as we get closer to the middle of the week. So stay tuned to that if you have friends or family in the Gulf of Mexico. That's what's really going on across the country. East Coast should stay quiet, at least for the start of the work week. All right, here is the wake up weather brain twister question that I left you with yesterday. I had Joseph on last week to take a stab at this one so you can find out if he's right. What candy bar was named after a family horse? Do you think it was A, Hershey's Gold, B, Snickers, C, Reese's Cups, or D, O. Henry? Joseph guessed D, O. Henry, and I saw some comments over on the Around the Ozarks Facebook page also guessing D, O. Henry, but there were also a lot of you that knew this one. The answer is B. It is Snickers. That's probably my favorite candy bar. Snickers is so good. It is named after a family horse, too. The Mars family in 1930, they decided, you know what, this is a pretty good candy bar that we just came up with. What's our favorite horse? And it was Snickers. So Snickers originated from a horse. It has stood the test of time here. I don't think Snickers are going anywhere anytime soon. The Snickers chocolate bar, of course, in my opinion, the most delicious with nougat, peanuts, caramel, and a chocolate coating. Can't beat it. Kind of want one. I should have had them for early this morning on the show. All right, here's your brain twister question for tomorrow. Which month has seen the most Category 4 hurricanes? Now that we're talking about the tropics getting a bit more active, thought this would be a timely question. Do you think that happens typically A, in August, B, in September, or C, in October? I will have the answer for you early tomorrow morning. Of course, I'll have an update on Hillary too. Post-tropical cyclone at that point as it's impacting the United States. And we'll take a look at the Gulf too. I'll let you know how that storm system is shaping up. That's coming up tomorrow morning on Around the Ozarks. Thanks for listening early this morning. Find a way to stay cool and beat the heat. I will chat with you again on Tuesday morning. Have a great afternoon.